When the weather outside is cold and blustery, I love a strata for breakfast. I make it the day before, let it chill in the fridge overnight, and then in the morning I can just pull it out, put it in the oven, and have this warm, cheesy, eggy, toasty breakfast. So to get started, I've buttered my square pan, and then I'm going to whisk in my bowl eggs, milk, and mustard. This is also a great way to use up leftover stale bread, so I tend to make this a lot in the winter when I'm baking a lot of bread if we don't eat it all and have some leftover. It's the perfect recipe to make. Just whisking my eggs up, adding some milk, and a little bit of mustard. Gonna whisk that till it's all combined. And add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. Okay. Put that aside, and I'm gonna cut my bread. I need about 4 to 5 cups of day-old bread. Stale bread is the best because that's really gonna absorb a lot of the moisture in the egg and milk mixture. So I'm just gonna cut inch cubes. You can use any kind of bread, sourdough, the crustier the better, and the older the better, honestly. If you wanna make it and you don't have any old bread, just leave it out overnight, or you can even cut some bread into cubes and then stick it in the oven while you have it preheating, just to dry it out a little bit. So I've got my bread, it's covering the bottom of the dish nicely. Single layer with maybe a couple more cubes that are gonna stick up above the layer of vegetables and egg mixture. So now I'm gonna cut my vegetables. So I'm using red onion, garlic, and roasted peppers. You can honestly use any vegetables you want. I've used broccoli, I've used asparagus. You know, around the holidays when you're making a lot of different recipes and you've got leftovers, this is just a really good recipe to use everything up that you've got in your fridge because there really are no rules. You can even use cooked vegetables. If you've got some roasted vegetables, you could add potatoes, really anything. I just like to get some vegetables, some cheese, and the egg mixture. I'm gonna put my red peppers on there. Then I've got 2 cloves of garlic. Since I'm only peeling 1 or 2 cloves, I just peel by hand. But if you're peeling tons of cloves of garlic, I know there's tricks where you can put it into a jar, I think, and shake it or whatever. You know, I just like bash it with the edge of the knife. But where you're just doing a few, it's really not a big deal just to peel the skins off. I do keep the ends and the skins for the chickens because garlic is just as good for them as it is for us, honestly. It's really good for their immune systems. So I'll just throw those into their water when I'm done. I've got some garlic and some red onion. This is a huge onion, so I think I'm just gonna use 1/4 of the onion. And I'm probably gonna cut it, I don't know if I wanna do half rings or, I think I'm just gonna cut it like this. A little bit larger pieces. I mean, that'll be kind of pretty instead of cutting it into tiny little pieces. If you're not a fan of garlic and onions, you can just substitute in something else. I've used scallions. So whatever you have in your fridge. So now I've got some Fontina cheese. I'm just gonna grate that. You can use, again, any kind of cheese, Swiss or cheddar or provolone. I like Fontina. It melts really well. It's pretty mild. So I use that in a lot of my egg dishes. All right, that looks good. Now I have my dish. I'm gonna put half the cheese right over the vegetables. A little bit of salt and pepper. Then I'm gonna pour my egg mixture right over the vegetables. I'm going to add the rest of the cheese. And because I have some fresh basil, I'm just going to cut a little bit of that and put that on top as well for a little pop of green. That'll look really nice. All right, and that's done. I'm just gonna cover it with plastic wrap, put it in the fridge, and then tomorrow morning I'm gonna bake it.